Hello everybody and welcome back to Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, and today it is a lovely, beautiful blue sky with sun here in late October in the south of Sweden, and I am going to be doing a video about doing some propagations on my fuchsia plant that is absolutely beautiful and very old, and I go in and prune back this plant completely every year, put it down in the cellar for the whole winter months, and then when the final frost has gone over in around about May, then I bring up my pot, put my plant back in the garden, and it flushes out into a big beautiful bush. The plant I'm talking about is on the table behind me here, and I'm just going to show you some footage here. Here you can see how beautiful my plant looks during the summer months. So you can see from the beginning when I first put my pot out and there's nothing really on the surface of the soil apart from a few twigs, and then the leaves start growing, and then all the beautiful purple pink flowers start coming out all over this plant. It gets so many beautiful flowers. I absolutely love it, but it can't survive the winter here in Sweden. It's too cold, so it has to go to bed every year. So now I'm going to go in and prune back my plant, but while I do that, I thought I'd show you how I make some propagations this year. It will be the first time I'm taking propagations from this plant, but it does so well for me. I want to put it in different pots all around my garden. So I'm hoping it's going to work out, taking some hardwood stem cuttings, putting them in some soil, normal garden soil, mixed with fine sand, to keep it nice and loose and airy. I'm going to put my propagations in those and put them in the cellar with the mother plant and leave them to next year and see if any of those flush out as new plants for me. So without further ado, I'm going to go in, prune back my plant, and then show you the propagations that I put into pots. The more I learn about plants, the more I work with plants, the more amazed I become at how resilient they are to things like this, hard pruning. So that is my mother plant completely pruned back and ready to go down in the cellar, and I have all of these stems here that I can make viable propagations from. So now I have all of these stems here that are viable to be wonderful propagations. I haven't used all the stems, I'm using just a few, and I've decided that I'm only going to put them in 4 separate pots. So I'll see how many I can get in each pot, and that will be it. This is an experiment for the first time, as I said, to see if this plant will produce me lovely new plants. It's an easy plant to propagate. If I did this earlier in the season and put them in the soil and they had the summer to grow out their roots, then they will probably take off very quickly. But now it's the end of October and they're going to be stripped of the leaves and put into the soil and then left in the cellar in the dark for the winter. So I'm not sure if they will take off next spring or not, but I'm going to give this a chance anyway. So let me just tell you what I'm going to do. First of all, I'll just take one of these stems. For example, I have this one stem here. So what we'll do is strip it of all of its leaves. Just pull down if they're easy to come off. It's as simple as that. You have the bare stem here. All these leaves at the top you can take off as well, and what you can do is leave a couple of leaves at the top to help the plant in the sunshine like this, that's left at the end of the season, and then find out how deep you want this to be in your pot, because you want at least 2 node sets, which is where the leaves came out on the stem. Those are the places where the roots are going to come out, so you want at least 2 or 3 of those underneath the soil to give you more chances of roots growing out from those areas that have most of the hormones for producing roots and leaves. So the higher ones will produce leaves, the lower ones will produce the roots. So this is obviously way too long to go in my pot. I'll just show you my pot. So this is how deep my pot is, this is how tall my cutting is, and I want to keep the top end up here around this long. That will give me, I can see, 3 nodes under the soil. So I'm going to prune back just under where there was a set of leaves here. I'll prune back under there, and now this node, the one here and the one here, will be under the soil and should be able to produce new roots. You can see this is a happy, healthy, viable plant. It's green in the bottom So it's not dead, it's very healthy, and this is going to stimulate the root production. So as I said just before, I used the normal gardening mix and I added fine sand, mix that together to keep the loose soil. Now get yourself a stick of any kind to push down into your pot and make holes. So I'm thinking I might be having around about 2 stems on each side of the pot, so that will be 8 cuttings in a pot. Perfect. You need to put them on the side of the pot so that the roots grow out on the side of the pot. They have some kind of resistance and they'll grow out and grow auxiliary roots much quicker and easier that way, rather than being in the middle where there's too much area around. The plant will produce a long root or a couple of large roots and it won't be enough to sustain it. So it's better to put them around the edge. So I've made a hole here and now I'm ready to put in my first cutting to become a wonderful propagation. And that's it. So I'm going to fill up all my pots in this way, just leave a couple of leaves on, and I've decided that I'll leave them in my annex just for a couple of weeks, because even if it does get to -1-2 degrees outside, it won't be -degrees inside, and the plant will have a chance to photosynthesize just for a couple more weeks while the sun is still like this, beautiful in the sky, late October, November. And then I will put them in my cellar where I know the temperature will not be -degrees at any time. It actually stays between 8 and 10 degrees, but in pitch black. So they will just go on and carry on producing their roots during the winter time. Oh, I'm just completely in my zone doing this. It's so therapeutic. So just to show you closer up, this is my first pot completed. I have my 8 cuttings in here now, and they're all around about 10 to 12 centimeters long. Some have a couple of layers of leaves and some just have the top, but that is enough to get these plants going. Of course, they need to be well watered in, not soaked, but watered through so they retain the moisture, and then they will just carry on and do their thing all winter long, and we'll have to wait until next year to see what happens. So I'm just going to get on now and carry on filling up the last couple of pots, then I'll take you in for a closer look so you can see how the mother plant looks and her lovely little babies. As I said, I don't know if this experiment is going to work out, but I didn't just want to throw all these lovely stems away, so I might as well experiment and see if late cuttings can work. So that's me done with making my lovely hardwood propagations straight into soil with their couple of leaves, and I just need to water these and they will just carry on doing what they need to do themselves. As I said, I've decided I'll keep them in the annex for a couple of weeks until it gets quite cold, until the leaves fade off, and then I'll put them in the cellar with the mother plant to do the rest down there until next season. So I have 4 pots now with 8 plants each, so that's 32 cuttings that I have now propagating. So I hope I'll get a couple of successes out of this at least. Now you can expect that some of them will die or rot or just not make it for some reason or other, or I might be lucky and many of them make it, and I'll be able to spread them around into pots in my garden and carry on the same process of keeping them up for the summer, letting them grow out, pruning them back and putting them to bed to rejuvenate themselves, ready for the next season. So let's go in and have a closer look at my cuttings and my mother plant. So here they all are, looking wonderful, and I have lots and lots of chances of some success. And I love this plant, so I'm really happy that I've finally decided to get in and try and make myself some propagations from this plant. And you can see my mother plant completely pruned back, and there are already buds on these stems, so I've pruned back to just above a set of leaves on each stem so that my plant can just carry on flushing out from those node areas next season. So there she is, and she'll appreciate going down into the cellar now because we will have -2 degrees within the next couple of days. So I'm doing this just in time. So I really hope you enjoyed seeing how I look after my one fuchsia plant that I've had here for many years. So the mother plant was over 10 years old when I got it, and I've had it for 3 years. That's around 13 years. And that shows you that when you go out and buy fuchsias, you don't have to go and use them as an annual plant where you put them in your pots, they look lovely, and then throw them away in the winter. No, if you have somewhere to store them out of frost, you will be able to reuse those same plants for years and years to come. So remember that. So I really hope you enjoyed seeing the closer look of my plant. And now I'm just going to go and put her into the cellar and the others into the annex. So all I have to say now is thank you very much once again for watching Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be coming up. And I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.